The first thing on the agenda is a recap of the Carnival outreach.
I think that's my cue.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks.
Sorry
Thanks
about the audio. So sorry about that.
Thanks for joining us, John.
Oh, no, my pleasure. I'm glad it worked out. I can't stay long. So I'll kind of give you a rapid fire and then give you something to think about.
Great.
No, thanks for having us. I think the Carnival was a good idea. I think it was time well spent. We had about 30 people, give or take, and had a lot of good conversations with a lot of different walks of life, which is why you do those things, which is kind of neat. It was interesting. I wouldn't say a lot, but when you think about common concerns, one thing that kept coming up was solar. That some of the solar proposals that are in not just in Lansing, but I believe, if I remember my geography, east of Lansing, they kind of straddle the eastern town line, if I remember.
Yeah.
In the not necessarily anti-solar, but buffering and making sure that if they go in, not exactly open space conservation, but obviously we took down all comments and so one person talked about rather have the open space and no solar. Another person was like, I don't mind solar, I just want more and better buffering. Good conversations about obviously a real world proposal and proposals plural that the town is entertaining or being faced with. I don't know what the status. I couldn't decide if they were how active the applications were, but one of them seemed pretty imminent.
Yes.
Okay. And some conversations about, again, just to wrap up the solar conversation, some discussion about there wasn't enough transparency and all that jazz. And I said, look, during COVID, it was hard. I think I wasn't there to comment on that, but obviously getting public feedback and public awareness during COVID about a significant project like solar is a challenge. But so we had some conversations about that, but then we had conversations about what I call nooks and crannies. This part of the town is of value to me because I live here or I have property over here, or this part of the town. So we had those, those little nooks and cranny conversations, which I like, to find out not just big picture. Obviously the view of the lake is important, I think, to most of the west side of town. But it was more, these woods are important to me. This field is important. This land that's in the village, even though the village is part of the town, that large open space that when we went on the tour, Tom, that if I remember right, we were heading south, so it would have been on the west side of the road when we were going around.
Yeah.
That property was talked about a couple times.
Yeah.
So it was a good conversation, and the people that may not have spent a lot of time with us, a lot of people like to identify where they live and just understand, with as normal. I'm not going to sign in. I'm not going to give you any information about myself, but I'll take some things. So they took the postcard or things of that nature. So I think it was good. Like I said, we had conversations with 30, but I would say through the booth, probably 50, give or take. It was, and more than 10, less than 20 came through and didn't really, they were nice, but they just kind of said hello and took some stuff and walked on. So it was good time to, time well spent, good way to spend the day.
Great. That's good. So, but did anybody fill out the survey or not?
No, I mean, we had 2 people, I think, take hard copies, maybe 3, but most of the people said, no, I'll just do it online, with the QR code, so, that was that. And then the other thing, and I don't want to hijack your agenda, but I've got thoughts on the first public meeting, given, some of the conversations we had. So we don't have to talk about that right this second. But if you want to talk about that in short order, I'm happy to.
Well, you can go ahead, John.
Yeah.
Okay. So, getting more comfortable with Lansing and kind of the pace and, the culture of Lansing, 2 ideas came to mind. Option 1, I don't think there's a wrong answer. Option 1, we could have the public meeting before the end of the survey. So we could use the public meeting as another way to promote the survey, be an informational meeting about the project, ask for feedback and things of that nature, but it would be more promotional and a little less content. Option 2, we have it after the survey wraps up. So we have the survey results, and then we could have a little more information and a little more content. And obviously there's not much to promote at that point other than the process in whole or in total. So I think either of those have merit, but this is where your knowledge of the community comes into play. I mean, what are your thoughts on, public participation in the first public meeting and value of the first public meeting in terms of timing? And then I got an idea on format too, but I want to talk timing first. Do we use it to promote the survey before it wraps up? Or do we wrap up the survey and use that as some information to share with folks?
One thing that comes to my mind is just, as we begin to get a good handle on the response to the survey, if that's lower than we would like, option 1 sounds good, to make sure we really magnify the input we get. So just one thought.
One of my thoughts is how much work is it to organize the meeting and get all of our ducks in a row for the meeting? And if we've set a November 30th deadline for completing the survey, can we actually pull it off, advertise the survey and the meeting, and get people there before the 30th? Obviously, we can change the deadline for the survey, but the further out we put the deadline, the further out is the analysis and everything else that follows.
Yeah, I think, and I don't see a problem. The nice thing about the first public meeting, from our point of view, there's not a significant amount of prep. Later on when we have more to share and more analysis, and we have as a group have done more work, that's more prep work. But getting ready for that first public meeting for us is not time consuming. So it's not going to be a big lift on our end in terms of promoting the survey. Carrie, you're spot on. I mean, I think, what is it, October 6th, we could set a meeting up for the second week in November, not speaking for you and the town and advertising, but you could, 5 weeks from now, 6 weeks from now, still a fantastic time to have a public meeting before the holidays really get into full swing. And I think that's generally plenty of time to advertise and get the word out. It might not be for Lansing, and that's okay, but it's 4 to 6 weeks to get a meeting together. Usually that's plenty of time, and then we wouldn't have to extend the survey deadline, even though I'm not worried if we have to, but I just don't see a problem keeping the survey at the end of November and having them, if option number 1 is interesting to you guys, then we have a meeting in like the second week of November. To me, that's not that hard.
I think if we get, say, 30 to 50 surveys completed, that would tell us a lot of what we want to know, I think. And if we could do that in that time frame, I think then it would be useful to have a meeting and then hopefully get even more survey results. But do you think we can get, say, 30 to 50 survey results in 6 weeks time or 5 weeks time?
I would hope so. I think, don't quote me on this, Katie is the keeper. I think
16 now.
16. Yeah, I thought she said 16.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She told me that yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, we already have 16.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a good start. And
I think
if we-
they said she's just gotten one comment from one person. But I don't think anything has been mailed in to the town from, what do you think, CJ?
No, we haven't received any requests for paper surveys, but it did go out to, it did go out on the Lansing Central School District listserv today, is my understanding.
Oh,
So
good.
that
Yeah.
generates like a ton. Well, it got a ton of responses for the survey we did for Parks Recreation Trails Master Plan, like hundreds. So we'll see. Fingers crossed.
And then were you guys, I can't recall, I was at a conference last couple of days, so I'm just trying to re-entry. Were you guys going to do mailers or anything like that to promote the survey?
So we have a postcard draft that I could show, and we have a space on there for advertising a public meeting. And that way we could maybe kill two birds with one stone. If that's still an okay, maybe is that politically correct, David, to say kill two birds with one stone? Should be killing birds.
Not for the birds. Not for the birds.
So I can pull that up if you want to see that.
But that's what Katie, I thought that what she had mentioned. So, I think we're, regardless, if you say option 1 or option 2, we still could pick a day and put it on there. It's just a matter of, does a meeting happen before the survey wraps up or after? But I still think it's a good idea to promote the first public meeting as part of this.
Well, it does seem like the public could definitely be educated at this meeting about what we're doing. And I think bringing people in early is always a good idea. And you guys have been on board, you'll have been on board about half a year. So I think it's actually a pretty good time to let people know, okay, we're using some town dollars for this. We're using some foundation dollars for this. And here's what you all can do. And that could be, I think, quite useful.
Yeah, I like it.
It would require probably an intermediate meeting with at least some CAC members to make sure we've got all the bases covered and who's going to do what to help at that meeting if we chose it for mid-November.
Well, then the other, Carrie, that not to open up too many topics without closing the previous one, but that brings up the next topic is format. We don't really care. I mean, I love in-person meetings. I miss them actually, but for this first meeting, we've had so much success with online meetings and recording them, especially in the beginning of a process and when it's more informational. I just wanted to throw that out there as something for you guys to consider. Doing an online meeting, recording it for them to promote the survey, to inform the community about the project. A lot of that can be done well with a live meeting, but then recording it. So if someone watches it later, they get the same information. We're not asking for a ton of feedback at this first meeting. So it lends itself nicely to an online meeting to post on the town's website so people can look at it at a later date. So I would encourage you to think about that. But as someone who likes in-person meetings, I can't guide you one way or the other. I mean, I think we've had so much good luck with online meetings. It's been extraordinary.
Have you done hybrids?
Yeah, we have. They haven't, we've had moderate success with hybrids. In person, because the recordings aren't great. You can patch someone in and you can answer the questions. Technology, we can do that really well, but the recordings just are, to me, the evidence indicates that they don't get watched as much. I don't think they're as useful to the end user. You don't have the PowerPoint narrative. You don't have the in-person speaker kind of thing. You've got this big empty room, I'm guessing here, but we have done hybrids. They don't tend to get the views as the other ones do. And CG, I don't know if you've got any thoughts on that or not. I don't know if the town's done hybrid, online, in person, what the experience is in Lansing.
Yeah, that's a good question. Just recently we've had a planning board meeting where we had consultants and also a member who had kind of a qualified absence to be able to attend via Zoom, and it went pretty well. All things being equal, I think it takes a little bit of tech savvy, but I think we're finally, we're getting it now.
Good.
Mostly. But yeah, we could, we'll
fine.
help make that happen. Yeah, we can help manage that.
And that was a hybrid meeting, CJ?
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the planning board members were in person, and then we also had Members of the public could come to town hall as well. We had the meeting streamed on YouTube like usual, like we're doing right now. But then also consultants, as well as two, actually, one planning board member and an alternate did attend via Zoom as well. And, you know, defer to them on their experience of what that was like. But all in all, it seemed to be just fine, I think. Tom.
CJ, how big, and again, this isn't a degree of success, but just curious, how many people in attendance in the audience?
It was quite a few.
Okay.
I would say, I don't know, Tom, you could probably give a better ballpark of this, but maybe 20, 25, something like that.
I would have guessed less.
No, maybe it was fewer than that. Yeah.
That's okay. I know with bigger audiences, it tends to get a little clunkier, but no, that's fine. Like I said, for us, it's meaningless. I mean, in terms of prep and outreach, and we're going to say the same thing. We're going to try to be equally engaging regardless. So we don't really have a preference.
Tom, do you have a preference?
Well, I thought the hybrid meeting that the planning board had went really well. I didn't look at the recording, so I don't know if it was poor quality or what, but and just from you know, my regular job, I've attended hybrid meetings that draw in people from all over the place, and then the locals show up. So I think they work pretty well, but you know, John thinks the recordings are not that good.
Well, what if
Go ahead, Carrie.
I just wondered, you know, I just was part of a webinar and I wasn't able to see the entire thing. And so I went, it was Sustainable Tompkins actually. And I went back to the notice and they said, okay, so the recording's available here and all the slides are available here. And so I was able to look at all the slides, and that was extremely useful. So I wonder if we could maybe do something like that, where if people don't want to sit through the recording, they can at least get the slides that, you know, assuming we show some.
Oh, no, absolutely. Yes, we'll have slides. Who doesn't love a good PowerPoint? So we'll have that regardless of whether we do hybrid or virtual. This, you know, the slide deck, we'll provide that to the town, and that can be posted and accessed by the public.
My experience with the hybrid is just one thing, and but it can be technically addressed, and that's just the audio sometimes is really bad. You can hear the person who's maybe got the mic and has the floor, but if there's comments coming in from different people at the meeting, you know, you can't hear that, and you don't. There's a lot of interpersonal conversations going on, and the voice kind of drops out near the end of this. Just the audio has been poor quality, but I think I'm sure it can be done better. It's just that sometimes I've been disappointed watching recordings that are hybrid like that.
Agreed. But CJ, if you think, based on the anecdote you shared, if you think the audio is solid, that's good to know.
You know, I can ask our clerk who does the minutes, and I can take a look at the recording also, give you some feedback on it. Not like, I mean, like
good audio joke there.
Here's
didn't
one
even
idea.
mean that. It didn't mean that.
We could choose the date and make sure that Bergman's available and that the town hall would be available. And that way we have options.
I love it.
And we can advertise the date and the time, and then say, you know, go to Lansing Town website for details, because, you know, we're still 6 weeks out. Are we 6 weeks out? Oh, well, we're 5 weeks out from
5 to 6. I mean, but as long as we get in before Thanksgiving, I think we're good.
Yeah, of course, we need to produce and mail the postcard.
That's a different story.
Still, it could, you know, let's say it's 3 weeks out. People get the postcard. They're like, oh, this is in 3 weeks. That's still fine.
Yeah, that's plenty.
So if we were to go with option 1, which is the earlier public meeting, which I'm not hearing any nays about that. I know. Oh, Robin, we haven't heard from you.
Oh, well, I I like the idea of remote meeting because people with children and young families can attend without having to get childcare. So it sounds like either fully remote or hybrid is what nobody's considering, in person only. So that's good. My experience with hybrid meetings is similar to David. It just seems that the questions have to be repeated. Like I've given the talk and I've been in the room and, you know, both ends of it, and you really can't hear the people asking questions. So if a major component of the meeting is expected to be feedback from the audience, I think that's better given through, you know, everybody being remote.
But I don't know if everyone just thinks like me, or not everyone, but if maybe it's just, again, our statistics show, I think when I see a star chamber or, you know, a large wide camera angle versus John Simons's big fat head talking to me, it just seems less personal, and I tend to zone out a little. And you know, that's kind of what our statistics show, is that the hybrid meetings just don't have as many views. Now it's hard to say because I can't think that where we've done a community where we did a hybrid, a public, all in person and a virtual. So I can't say we've had a really good controlled experiment, but our hybrid meetings just tend to have less views. It could be just the communities they're in, but you know, I like them because I like in-person meetings. But again, we don't have to your point, Carrie, we don't have to decide that today.
I think just either way is fine, but with every hybrid meeting that I'm in, the question has to be repeated if it's not spoken into a microphone. So you're going to have to kind of allow time for that.
And we can do
It's
that.
a little training of the audience kind of at the beginning of the meeting, you know, and also things like sometimes two members in the audience will start going back and forth or something, you know. So anyway, but people can make them all aware that this is a hybrid meeting and they need to have some guidance on how to do it so that the recording will be understood by people watching it.
And I'm pretty comfortable leading and moderating that kind of thing. So, I mean, in terms of repeating questions, I'm pretty good about that. So I think we can make that work if that's our choice.
Okay, so should we look at dates?
On my calendar.
I'm actually doing a short vacation just before Thanksgiving. Not that, you know, that's not, I'm just one person, but anyway, the 18th through the day before Thanksgiving, whenever that is, the 23rd or something.
Yeah.
I'm not around, but
Carrie, did you approve that? Did you approve David's vacation?
I thought I retired. I don't have to do that anymore, but
He's an independent volunteer. We have no power over him. All right, so let's go for before that.
well, as I said, I'm just one person, of course. So, you know,
Well, yeah, David, I don't think we want to have a meeting the week that Thanksgiving is in,
yeah,
because people are going to be scattered about.
yeah.
The week before that might work.
Yeah.
The week of the 14th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we're to,
So the 14th, that there's a planning board meeting on the 14th.
so we
Okay,
can't.
so Monday's out. Unless, do we think, I've never done this. Do we think if it's a short agenda, do we think it'd be better if we just can like build on that? If planning board goes from 7 to 8, we're at 8 or something like that. Like I said, I've never done this, but
We never know.
Lansing, I don't know.
We never know when the planning board meeting's going to end.
Yeah. It's fair.
Yeah, let's not try to append it to the planning board meeting.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing. Sorry.
Is there, John, is there a particular day of the week in general that you think works better for people attending meetings?
No, I think it's so all over the board. You know, you mentioned the week before Thanksgiving, and I'm fine with not considering it. I was going to say stay away from like Wednesday I've done Monday meetings the week before Thanksgiving, but there's no need to push that. No, we've had good luck Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. There's really no rhyme or reason.
Well, are you available for Monday, Tuesday? Well, not Monday.
Monday's out, and then
yeah.
Tuesday I am not, but Wednesday, Thursday I am. So 16th and 17th are both good.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure we have to decide tonight exactly what day we want, but is there a preference between the 16th and 17th by anybody here?
I have a preference for the 16th.
So do I. The 16th would be better for me, but
Okay.
just 'cause I'm flying on the 18th, so I'd rather not have 2 travel days in a row, but I'm
Yeah.
happy to do it.
I prefer the 16th as well, but I'm not clear, like if the whole committee is at the meeting, like what our roles are, or if we all need to be there. So maybe we don't all need to be there, but if we are all there, the 16th is better for me.
Okay. Well,
If we do decide, then that will help me to move forward with the postcard.
Are we
Yeah.
comfortable just saying the 16th?
Yeah, 16 sounds good to me too. So
okay.
That's
So
the
then
view.
the question is time.
Can I ask, this is Wednesday, November 16th?
Yes.
Yeah, that's town board.
Oh, okay.
Ooh. And the 15th was out?
I might be able to make that work. I've got a 4:30, but it's remote. It's generally short. So I could make the 15th work.
Does that work for other people on the call?
I'm okay with
Yeah, you're
the
good.
15th.
The
I guess it depends on what time it is.
have you found that 7 o'clock works fine for this kind of thing?
That's been the old tried and true. We've actually, and again, if you disagree with me, I won't be offended. We've had a lot of success right after work. You know, in terms of in person. So in person, you get out of work, you stop at a meeting, you go home, rather than going home and then leaving your house again. So we started to gravitate towards like 5:30. But then virtual, people can get home, they can eat, they can settle in. So COVID kind of threw that in a wrench. Pre-COVID, we had 2 solid years of like 5:30, even 4:30 were great numbers. With COVID, I don't know. I'd say we just go with the tried and true 6:30 or 7. Yeah, I think that's pretty common.
And that would be easier for you too, John, if you have another commitment.
It would.
I would be fine with that.
6:30 or 7.
7.
7.
And Terry, that's when your like town board and planning board meetings generally start.
6:30 usually.
Oh, okay.
But most people don't know that. I mean, many people don't know it in Lansing.
No, that's fine. I just know if there's like a culture, like Village of Caledonia, I'll pick on them. I remember I was embarrassed. I showed up to their village board meeting late. They started at 6. You know, I just assumed it was 7 o'clock. I mean, I walked in at 6:30 because I try to be early. And they're like, "Oh, John, you're finally here." I'm like, "Oh, so in Caledonia, it's a culture. It's just they're a 6 o'clock community. They used to be a 6 o'clock community." So I'm putting it on our calendar 11:15 or 7 p.m.
Okay.
sounds good.
Awesome. This has been very productive. And we'll touch base leading up to this. But Carrie, do you have enough then to promote and do your thing?
Yeah.
Postcards and all that?
I think as long as we've got the time and the date and town hall is available as a possibility, then, we can figure out the Zoom and I don't think there's anything else we would need to put on the postcard.
Okay.
CJ,
Sounds good.
CJ, do you know if if the 15th, the town hall is available?
I anticipate that it probably would be. The problem is that, well, there's been some insistence on having a paper calendar at the front of the room. And I'm not at town hall right now, so I can't tell you
Okay,
if there's anyone slated to meet in town hall. So what I'll do is put a note and a reminder to check first thing on Tuesday morning when I go back in.
okay.
Okay.
I could also swing by. Actually, I'll be right by town hall tomorrow. So I can swing in and check if that would be helpful.
Okay, that'd be great.
And that will
All
be Tuesday, November 15th at 6:30 p.m.
7 p.m.
7.
Sorry.
7.
I'm stuck on the.
That's all right. We threw so many
6:30
times
p.m.
and dates out.
No
CJ,
worries.
you're allowed.
No worries. Okay, so Tuesday, November 15th at 7 p.m. Got it.
Right.
Check on- Okay, we'll do.
And if,
You guys, go ahead, Tom.
if we have that date, then you can write that in and then it's solid. Is that right?
Yeah, I'll put it in the calendar, but I have to say that if the court decides that they need to do something, then they have precedent. So,
Okay,
Another good reason to do a fully remote meeting. We don't have to worry about the court deciding that something else is happening.
And CJ, the 17th would be the other one then.
okay, so I'll
Yeah.
check on, yeah, I couldn't attend on the 17th, but I can certainly check for you.
All right.
Okay, or 11/17 at 7 are the two preferred dates. Okay, I'll check tomorrow, and if somebody was at town hall, I'd just ask them to run over and check. But this also bolsters my argument for having a digital calendar.
Agreed.
It's all good.
I've got to hop off. Is there anything else that you want to quiz me on before I go?
a quick one. The press release, you're quoted in there, and the second sentence I don't think is grammatically correct.
You can change it.
Okay.
When I speak, I'm not always grammatically correct.
Okay. We'll interpret what you were trying to say.
Great, and we'll send anything else to you and connect with Katie. And Katie was nice enough to send a whole bunch of things today, so that was really great, very helpful.
Okay, good.
Good.
All right.
Okay, thanks, John.
Thanks, everyone. Good seeing you.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
Oh, not a problem. Happy to help out. Have a good night.
Yeah, take care.
CJ, did you say you couldn't make the 17th?
Yeah, I can't attend a meeting on the 17th.
Yeah, it'd be good if you were there. That's a good argument for the 16th or the 15th.
I'll try. That's going to make 3 night meetings in a row for me. For the 14th is a planning board working meeting. The 15th would be this, and then the 16th would be town board. So it's kind of a lot.
Yeah, okay.
But I'll try. I'll do my best.
Well, we don't want to overextend you,
No worries.
even though I know you're overextended.
Yeah.
It's no problem. That's why we have consultants. They're excellent.
Okay, so while we're still on this open space thing, the press release, the paragraph that has a quote from John, I don't know, I've read it a few times and I don't get something is grammatically wrong with it, with his second sentence, I believe.
You want to wordsmith it now, or?
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Okay.
I mean, I don't think it'll take long.
All right. Let's see. That's the Lansing press release 10/5/22, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So is it like the second sentence you don't think is a little funky?
Do you have it there, David?
Yeah, I've got an actual old-fashioned print copy of it.
Yay. And CJ, this is an okay version to use, right? This 10.5.22 one?
And 522. Let me just make sure. Okay, so this was from yesterday.
Yes,
But
from
it's dated September 22nd on the top.
yes, it is. Yeah. but
Okay,
just-
yeah, no worries. Yeah, I can't tell. The only thing that's missing is the bullet points, right?
Right, because we took out the
Okay.
carnival
Yeah,
information.
totally makes sense. Yeah, I sent it to yeah, this is what went to LCSD. So-
Great, great. Okay. So,
I'm reading that Bergman paragraph, and I think there's kind of just in the second sentence, there's a however there that doesn't really, that sentence that begins with however doesn't really follow from the first sentence. It's a useful statement, I guess, but it's just not, I'm not sure that whole second sentence even needs to be in there. So I think the first sentence is every community prioritizes the protection of open space differently. Yes, that's
fine.
That's interesting. However, the value of these efforts lies in the economic, scenic, and environmental benefits our open spaces and natural areas provide the places we care about. I don't understand why how that follows from everybody does it differently.
let's put that.
I just think that second sentence could be shortened and probably be, I don't know. Certainly don't need the however. I could say in any case, the value of these efforts, maybe that would be better. But
Places we care about.
Are you trying to pull it up, Carrie?
I have it up. I'm just looking at Robin's too. And I think, David, did you suggest cutting it?
I would say cut out the second sentence.
I'd be fine with that. Robin, you made a suggestion.
Well, I was gonna suggest cutting the last phrase off. But if you're gonna cut the whole sentence, then my point goes with
So we'll cut the last phrase and more.
No.
more.
I like the last sentence is okay.
So it'll be differently, and then the next sentence, Lansing is a part of a growing number of municipalities that are being proactive in defining the role.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. Okay,
Okay.
I'll save this as today's, and then we can use this one. Awesome.
Okay.
Great.
Next steps for OSI.
Oh, well, while we're on the press release,
Oh.
it probably could be sent some other places. And well, you maybe were getting to this, Tom, but is anyone inspired to do some type of an op-ed that would be based on this press release and could go into some of the local papers?
I think you lost me at op-ed.
Oh, sorry, an opinion, just an opinion piece that could be on the editorial page.
I know what an op-ed is. I feel like that's for things that would be more controversial. I don't know. I feel like just posting it on listservs would probably be good. I don't know if it needs an op-ed.
I mean, the other thing is if you're gonna do it, say in the Ithaca Journal or something, could you put it in as an advertisement? Of course, they were kind of expensive.
This did go to Ithaca Journal. This went to a bunch of media outlets the day before the carnival. I don't know if it got published, but
Well, it already went out.
Yeah, not this version, of course, but a version. I mean, welcome to send it again. We could send the edited version. It's like another round.
Yep.
Okay. That's a good idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. And then listservs, are there some that come to mind for all of you? Karen sending it to the Lansing.
Discussion group.
listserv.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was posted there too,
Mhm.
but you can post it again. Just always want to.
How about Salt Point?
Yeah,
So some
so
listserv associated with that?
there must be,
Sure.
because I get emails about it.
Yeah, if we send it to Robert Rieger, he would post it.
Great.
I also have the ability to post on the Friends of Salt Point Facebook page.
Ooh,
So put a shorter version of it there.
Yeah.
that would be awesome.
Obviously, that would just be some shorter version, but I would take the link and small bits of the press release and put it on that Facebook page.
Okay.
And from there, it could be shared to the Hugo Bird Club or any other environmental groups.
That'd be great. And then Tom, can you also send it to Robert Rieger?
Yeah.
David, are you on any climate change lists?
Well, I just think that the ones I'm on, just only probably a few people from Lansing on those listservs. They're not really, there's not probably enough Lansing people to really make it appropriate.
Okay, this is good. This is better than what we had, so.
Yeah,
Oh.
well, between those and getting a postcard out, I think we've really made the effort to inform the town
Mhm.
to participate.
Where's the postcard going to, like all residents or?
Every household.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, it's pretty good.
Every household in Lansing?
Every household in Lansing.
Wow. Well, it seems like you don't need to do that much press because everybody's going to get one.
People need to hear 6 times.
Yeah, the more they hear about it, the better chance they might actually fill it out.
Yeah, and a postcard can get lost in the tossing of the junk mail.
Yeah.
So,
Except this one won't, because
yeah, well, also that.
stands out so much. Okay, great.
So we were talking about whether the postcard was going to be color or black and white.
Well, now that we have all the information, I can get a bid and submit it to CJ 2 ways. Color.
I mean, I think color is more effective.
Yeah, I do too.
CJ, is that fine with you?
So you guys are doing the printing thing, right? Did you get my correspondence? About
Okay,
the
a couple of
Eagle
days.
printing?
Yeah, Eagle.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
great. And
Yes.
what do they need from the town?
Well, just that, do we have authorization to go color?
I mean, I think we should probably be mindful of the cost. I think seeing the cost estimates would probably be wise.
Okay, so do you want to see a bid from Eagle? That would be.
My understanding is that's what we used for the highway department building renovation project.
Yes. And do you want to just see it both ways, black and white and color?
Yeah, they should be able to give 2 prices for it, I would think.
Okay, great.
I mean, if it's not outrageous, outrageously different, then, no
Okay.
worries. But
So I'll get those 2 bids and make sure that you get them, and then we can finalize that and also any other details.
Yes, that's fine. So we're closed on Monday for the holiday,
Okay.
and then I'm out next Thursday and Friday.
Okay.
So please
Hopefully,
get it to
if I can get
next-
it to them tomorrow as a mock-up, then they can bid on it. They can give us a sense, and maybe we'll have something if they're quick by like Tuesday or Wednesday.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you.
Okay, so are we done with the OSI?
The only other thing I think is making sure that we have submitted any questions for those 4 focus groups that Bergman is going to be interviewing. And I'd be willing to pull up the list of the people that are going to be interviewed. And unless
So-
people already know what questions they would ask.
So Lynn Davidson is put down as a town board member, but he's a planning board member and he's also a farmer.
Yeah, so do people need that brought up or?
So do we ask the same questions for all of the focus groups?
Well, you want me to share my screen with the,
Sure.
okay. So here's the list. So Lynn Davidson is on the ag one.
Yeah. But he's not a town board member.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that they just have, yeah. No. Wrong designation.
Well, I guess Bergman should be aware of that.
Yeah. So I'm willing to take a few notes and contact Bergman as
okay.
we go through the list here.
So did Katie say how many people they contacted? Or they haven't?
I think that they have contacted just about everybody,
Oh, okay. Okay.
but they've only gotten 30% responses. And so she was going to nudge them by the end of this week.
Did she think 30% was low?
Yes.
Okay. Well, yeah, a second reminder probably wouldn't hurt.
Yeah. So do we want to start with ag and just come up with, anything in particular that we think they should be asked? I actually think we should ask this ag focus group to fill out the survey because they are going to have a very good idea about areas that they think should be conserved. And if they don't, I would like to know what their thinking is.
I would almost say that most of these people that are listed in all of the groups, it would be good for them to fill out the survey.
Okay.
They aren't all
You sure
Lansing,
we're meant to be coming? Sorry.
well, they're all Lansing members, are they? Are they all?
I don't know if Sean Wazinski is lives.
And like, I don't
in-
think Monica Roth, she used to live in Ithaca, I think, at least.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Graham Savio is now the CCE ag person. I think I put him in there.
Oh, that would be interesting.
What happened to Monica?
she's retired.
Oh,
I wonder if we should suggest Graham instead of Monica.
Yeah, I thought I had, but maybe I'll go check the spreadsheets.
Are these the people who have agreed or the people who were asked?
Asked.
Okay. Can you scroll down a bit to
Oh,
show
so,
the rest of the page?
does Hillary Lambert live in Lansing? I'm not sure.
I think she lives in Ithaca.
Yeah.
She lives like on Hanshell Road, I think.
mhm. Yeah,
And Darby Kylie, I'm not sure where she's.
She does, I'm pretty sure she's not in Lansing.
Yeah.
She works at Tompkins County Planning.
Yeah.
So is it okay if I just forward this interview thing to Graham?
Sure.
Okay. So I was copied on them, so I'll send them along.
So technically, you have to be a Lansing resident to fill out the survey. Is that right?
I don't think we specified, but we asked if they are at the end.
Yeah. Because you could not live in Lansing and still have a special place in Lansing that you think is worth.
Right. Right, and you could work on issues related to Lansing, which a lot of these local agencies do.
Right.
So even if they don't submit the survey, having them fill it out gets at the questions that we're interested in knowing answers to. And I think a lot of these people would have a sense of very valuable places in Lansing, maybe that we're not even aware of.
So it sounds like we want all of these people to look at the survey and answer the questions. And then I guess the question is, do we have other questions for them?
Or at least get it ahead of time. I guess I'm a little surprised that we're being asked for the questions because I would have assumed that Bergman would already have that all mapped out. And Katie said to me, we have pretty general questions. But it does seem like these are a lot of leaders in our community, and we certainly don't want to waste their time. So
I am surprised to hear you say that too, that they don't come up with the questions. Maybe they have a list of generic questions that we can, modify.
I asked her for that, and she sent me a lot of material today, but let me just see. Actually had trouble opening up some of her stuff. Okay, all right, here we go. Yeah, so I had asked her for these, but I thought I'd opened them up, but I hadn't. So let me stop here. You're not seeing stakeholder questions on your screen, are you? You're still
No.
seeing
We're
list of
seeing the stakeholders.
Okay, let me pull that up because she just sent me some stuff, and here are the questions
Oh,
about.
okay. I do think for these questions are very Lansing oriented, obviously. And so I think for those people on the list who don't live in Lansing, they might go, why did I get this? I mean, some of them might be quite familiar with the Lansing area. Like Hillary Lambert, knows the whole watershed backwards and forwards, but even though she lives in Ithaca, but some of the others might not feel even like it's appropriate for them to answer for the town.
Yeah, like, okay,
That's my thought.
can you show me this list again? Of the people.
Of the people.
Because I suggested Graham Savio because he's now the ag and horticulture person at CCE.
Mhm.
And I even reached out to him to say, are you able to participate? And I confirmed with him first before sharing his email address, and somehow this didn't make it to him. Also, Angel Heinekel too. Like, she knows Lansing inside and out. She's Tompkins County Soil and Water Conservation District. I don't see her on this list either, but
I wonder if
whatever. I was just asked to contribute, not to.
Well, it's certainly not too late to add people to this list, I don't think.
especially if they've just gotten 30% response. I think there was some weaning that went on where we had more people than they were willing to contact. But I don't remember seeing Graham's name on there, and Angel, I don't think I remember seeing hers either. So
No, they don't ring a bell with me either.
okay, so let me just, it's Angel Hennikel, right?
Yeah, and I see that Deborah Dawson is here as I know she's on the board or trustee of soil and water. I just know Angel has a lot of on the ground experience in the town.
Mhm.
And I did reach out to all these people to confirm I could share their email address.
Mhm. Okay, so
I mean,
am I missing a third one, CJ? Graham, Angel, and was there yet another that you mentioned?
No, I think that's cool.
Okay,
I'm happy to just forward it to Graham because he was expecting this anyway, because I had reached out to him when we were assembling this
I think you should do it,
stakeholder. Sure.
and we'll tell Katie that you did it. She won't have any problem with that.
Yeah, he said I definitely reached out to him to say, hey, would you, because Monica Roth retired, so
Mhm.
yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, I have a feeling that they may not have gotten a response there. So, okay. In speaking with Katie, I didn't have access to the questions, and then she finally sent them today. And so I actually feel a little bit better now that I've seen the questions. For some reason, I thought this file and the other file were the same file, but anyway, my apologies on that.
So how different are those questions from what's in the survey?
There's a lot of similarity, I think. You want me to bring them up again? I think they'll get a fair amount of information with these questions.
Again, it does seem really aimed at Lansing residents to me.
But I think people who work in Lansing could also answer them.
Yeah, they could. Yeah, most of them probably are, certainly the majority on that list probably are pretty familiar with Lansing,
Mhm.
but like what are the key issues facing the town? I'm not sure if just being familiar with, they might be familiar with the open space versus not open space, and yeah.
Maybe we could, when we send this out, say, only answer the questions that you think you are appropriate for your position or whatever.
Well,
In other words, they don't have to answer all the questions if they don't think it's appropriate for them, something
Well,
like that.
I think, Tom, that they're going to be asked these questions on a Zoom call as a group.
Uh,
So that was how Katie described it to me, because I was quizzing her about how this would work.
Mhm.
And she said it's going to be by Zoom and in the next 2 weeks, and they would have a conversation with these questions as the launching point.
So if you don't want to answer that question because you don't think it's appropriate, you don't have to say anything in the
Yeah.
Zoom meeting.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody else chimes in,
Yeah.
we hope. Yeah, I feel a lot better studying these with all of you now. So maybe,
And they can say to the people, these questions may not be appropriate for everybody, but if you feel it is, please speak up.
mhm.
I just hate to exclude people who can answer even some of the questions.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so we feeling done with this?
I think they look pretty good.
Okay. Great. I will let Katie know.
Okay, so are we done with the OSI for
Yeah,
tonight?
and then as far as my original suggestion about filling out the survey, I think there's enough overlap between these questions and what the survey asks that in fact, it would be great if they want to fill out the survey. However, probably not as part of the Zoom focus group.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, board member reports. The Clean Water, Clean Air, Green Jobs Bond Act. Was somebody going to
Yeah.
speak to that?
That was me. And I could do this, I think, fairly quickly. I'll just share my screen again. And I'll just leave it in this format because my slides are not that scintillating. So I heard a presentation on this, and then went back and gleaned a little bit of the information. So this Clean Water, Clean Air, Green Jobs Bond Act of 2022, probably most of you know a lot more about it than I did, but I figured it would be really great for us to be able to spread the word individually as a CAC. Obviously, we're voting on election day. It's on the back of the ballot. The last Environmental Bond Act in New York was in 1996.
Wow.
This one would allot $650 million for open space, which is pretty impressive. And then they've divided that not less than $300 million for open space land conservation and not less than $150 million for farmland. I think a certain amount is going to fish hatcheries. So that's why there's a difference in how those numbers add up. Then I just looked into environmental groups supporting this Bond Act, and there are just dozens and dozens of them. And I put a few of them here. But it's a very impressive list of other organizations that have poured through it and come up with their opinion, which swayed me. And I looked into implementation because, of course, we have a lot that could be conserved in Lansing, and I want to know, like, how is this going to work? It seems like it's going to be through the New York State Department of, or the, I don't know, they said Department or Office of Parks, Rec, and Historic Preservation. The way it was worded was a little bit odd, so maybe I'm missing something here. But the funds would be applied to the costs that are associated with conserving open space land, and then purchasing conservation easements, which is kind of interesting. And then there is, a little bit more about implementation, but given that it hasn't passed yet, I don't think they've gotten down to the publishing, the nitty gritty. Oh, and this is something totally different. So I'll just stop there. I'm by no means an expert after watching part of this webinar, but it was quite impressive. And the one that I watched was put on by Audubon.
Yeah.
And they were encouraging people to spread the word about the benefits of the Bond Act. And then I also listened to a webinar by Sustainable Tompkins on land use and sustainable energy. And we've had David Kay speak to us before about solar energy. He was featured along with this professor named Caitlin Stack Whitney, who had some really great ideas about placing solar arrays along right of ways, and how in the United States, we've got this, million-mile road system and 10 million acres of roadsides associated with that. That's pretty impressive. And so there are places like in Massachusetts where they're already putting up solar panels on those walls that separate major highways from residential communities. You go through, they're almost like brick tunnels that you go through. So they've started doing that, and there's some contracts in place now. And then Graham Savio talked about agrivoltaics, and actually I sent the link to this to John Fleming because it was kind of interesting, and just discussed the production of crops and livestock within the solar or the wind arrays. And all the slides are available for this, and the entire recording is available. So happy to send that out if people are, the URL if people are interested. But there's just a lot of really great stuff going on. And I did not participate in the convention that was being held today, but maybe somebody else did.
Regarding the solar one, the other thing they said there was that, in the past, the size of the projects have been around 20 megawatts, but now they're all going to be a lot bigger, 150 to 500 megawatts. That's which puts it in the hands of the state. Once you're above 20 or 25 megawatts, it's up to the state to decide, pretty much.
And there was also a really good pie chart of soil type and the 40 projects that are kind of on the schedule in New York State, and what type of soil would be underneath them. And some of them are like prime farmland. So I do think it's important to be thinking about alternatives.
Well, one point they also said was there's like 7 to 9 million acres of farmland in New York, and only 5 to 10% would be used for solar. So it's not like they're going to take all the farmland. But of course, farmland sure looks like a nice place to put solar if you're a solar developer. There was also a thing that a webinar that had town supervisors or town planners speaking. CJ, you were at that one, right? And Ed Levine was saying they're offering the farmers here $1,800 an acre to lease their land. And the farmers want this. If you have 200 acres of farmland that you can put into solar, that's $360,000 a year for 20 or 25 years. how do you say no to that? So I thought his points that, you know, farmers want this and they're getting a lot of money for it. People got to realize that. But a lot of these farmers, you know, I got the impression they're steering the solar developers to their worst farmland, not their best farmland. Some of the other, the town supervisor from Enfield, Stephanie Redmond, they had some early solar development, and she said that the solar companies, you know, said one thing and did another. They were pretty disappointed with some of their interactions with them. But that was a really good webinar. Town of Dryden, they gave a good presentation. And somebody brought up the subject, you know, they didn't even know there was a solar development near the airport because it's buffered from the main roads. You don't see it. And then there was a bunch of talk about, you know, how do you buffer these things, and so everybody doesn't have to look at them.
Mhm.
That was just my 2 cents.
That's great. It's interesting. Thanks.
I think we're going to table the regional waste transfer facility, unless somebody wants to talk about that.
I'm tabling it. Yeah.
So, Carrie, was it you who said that the actual amount of waste transfer is not large?
That's right. When I spoke with Ed to get a few more details, he felt like we should table it because the big beef was that this company had not actually notified City of Ithaca about the fact that this leachate was going to be transferred to them. So they didn't follow the proper channels, and I think the city was just surprised. But the amount is supposedly going to be 30,000 gallons, which evidently is not a big deal. The only big deal is what is in there. And I think there is now a stipulation that it must be tested. I think it has to be tested by a third party. I asked Ed about that. So anyway, he's going to circle around with Cynthia Brock, I think.
Okay. So conference on the environment recap. Is that the one that was today?
Yeah, did anybody go to that?
No, I was going to, but I couldn't. I had too many other things going on.
It sounded like Karen Edelstein was going to go to that. I don't know if she did or not. Okay. I was planning on going to it, but I'm doing some planning board training at the moment. Okay, so we've covered all of that. Number 3, is that
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
Okay, so reports, Tompkins County Environmental Management Council.
That's me. Yeah, so I went to the, let's see, this is the August 15th meeting. I remember which, yeah, so I've got notes from the August. September 8th. No, I guess this is our, just looking at what's, make sure I'm reporting on the right, the right meeting. Yeah, so this was on September 8th. Yeah, so that's the last EMC that I went to. I think the main thing that was at this meeting was a pretty long presentation by Liz Thomas of the Cuyahoga Lake Watershed Intermunicipal Organization. Sort of indicating what they're about. So I don't know how much you may all know quite a bit about that organization as well. It's been around a long time. I think there's over 50 municipalities in the Cuyahoga Lake watershed. And so they all are potentially members. Not all of them really attend in the past. I think it's been a little bit until kind of Liz Thomas recently took over. I think it's been a little bit, at least had some years of somewhat being disorganized and not that effective. But they're doing a lot of stuff now. For one thing, they got a grant from the Park Foundation to essentially help them hire a professional level person who's going to be focusing on grant proposals and watershed management issues. Erin Norris, I've already met her. Obviously, they have a fair amount of intersection with the Cuyahoga Lake Watershed Network, the nonprofit that I'm involved with. But we're a nonprofit. This group is really associated with all the municipalities. So there's representatives from the different municipalities on this one. One thing they're doing is increasing the request of funding from each of the municipalities with the goal of reaching by 2024, $90,000 a year coming in to funding the IO, as we call it, or QIO. So that would give them a more permanent, permanent way to maintain a professional on the staff like Erin, and also fund some projects and get some things really going. So as I say, the Cuyahoga Lake Watershed Network, a nonprofit I'm involved with, we intersect with them. Besides going to their annual meetings, we also meet with them. I meet with Liz like once a month to make sure we're kind of as they're reinventing themselves, that we can explain to people what the distinction is between what they're doing, what we do, and all of that. And so her thing at the EMC meeting was explaining what they do, exactly where their real focus is. They have this new person who's going to really, I think, allow them to make some real progress on addressing the needs and the interests of the municipalities and getting funding for doing things, and et cetera, et cetera. They are some of the concepts, the issues that their high priority issues are. I'll just rattle them off. Agricultural runoff during high rainfall events, rethinking ditch configuration in the watershed in terms of, again, impacts on the waterways themselves, erosion, nutrients getting into Cuyahoga Lake, et cetera. So there's like some research concepts and et cetera, working along those lines. They're looking into, of course, drinking water, making sure they don't ever take their eye off the ball with drinking water supplies. What are different municipalities facing in terms of stormwater challenges, and what are the best management practices for managing stormwater, and the actual engineering of dealing with this at the municipal level, and also thinking about impacts on water quality. Wetlands is another high priority area. So that was a big part of the meeting, actually. That took up a lot of it. There was other than that, let's see. Yeah. So anyway, that's the end of her report. Nothing else of really of interest, I think. Oh, I did. There was municipal reports, and so of course I talked about our OSI efforts going on that we were at that time, we were at the point of getting the survey together and making plans for the pop-up at the Carnival and that stuff. So just kind of let them know that that was, you know, a work in progress and had a timeline of a year or so. And the other couple of the municipalities, Newfield, they're developing a drinking water plan. Some looking at some riparian regulations. So nothing really big news there. They had one committee update. Well, they've got an event coming up. Have all of you seen this thing, flooding in Tompkins County? Are you ready? I don't know if you can see that, but anyway, this is October 18th. So the EMC has actually helped organize this. So it's really for the community members. I don't think it's really something that we on this Conservation Council would necessarily, we're not like the primary kind of audience for this, but for example, the presentations are going to be by the Ithaca Fire Department, Enfield resident and home. They're going to hear from some, like I guess, a panel of some residents and home flooding survivors, and then some information from the Tompkins County Health Department. So it's October 18th, and I can send you all a link to this in case you're interested.
Sure.
So it's more a matter of the community being aware that flooding is becoming a bigger issue, like throughout certainly the whole Northeast, quite a significant increase in flooding problems, and its impacts, and what, in a real emergency situation, who to call, what to do about it, and advice from, like I said, the fire departments and county health departments about things to think about if your home does get flooded, for example, or if you're literally stuck on the roof, like people in Florida recently were, those kind of things, but also to kind of just raise awareness of this is a bigger issue and, not an issue that's going away. So, but that was about it.
Thank you, David.
Highlights. Yeah, so I'll send a link to that particular event. I think it's going to be in person. Speaking of, we were just talking about that. It's an in-person meeting at the Borg Warner Room, Tompkins County Public Library, but there is a virtual attendance option. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sounds good. So the planning report. There's a traffic impact study that a draft, I believe, has been completed by the consultant group that was hired to do it. It goes to Dandy Mart to add their comments to it. And then I believe it goes to the, let's see, it goes to the county after that, or no, to DEC. Or no, DOT, excuse me. Is that right, CJ? It goes to DOT after that?
That's right.
And then the town gets it. And probably on the order of, the DOT wanted a couple of months to deal with it. And then after that, we would get it. So, 2-3 months down the line. It'll address a number of concerns regarding Dandy Mart. The other thing the planning board is doing is helping the codes committee with their new ag district and the revised RA district, and commenting on what they've come up with so far. I think those are the two.
Can you repeat that again? I thought you started out that sentence saying another thing that Dandy Mart is doing.
Oh, no,
This must
another
be-
thing the planning board
That makes so
is
much sense.
doing. Yeah, no,
Mhm.
Danny Mart's not weighing in on planning and zoning. So I guess that was the only really relevant stuff that was at the last planning board meeting that in any way relates to Conservation Advisory Council. And Andra's not here, so I guess we're not going to hear about the town board. So we're coming to the end of the meeting. Is there any further discussion?
I'm guessing there may be a few things CJ might want to chime in on that are coming down the pike for CAC or that just are relevant. I don't know.
The only thing I'd mention is the town board did meet last night and they decided to pass on the offer to purchase the land adjacent to Salmon Creek.
So
Significant costs of upgrading the site and such. But that's at least that's my understanding anyway.
So I know there's another person that's interested in that property. Yeah, so the town is not interested. That's too bad.
I don't know if I'd say not interested per se, but just that it's a pretty significant undertaking and significant investment and long-term management and yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's a nice chunk of Salmon Creek. But yeah, there would be some kind of continual maintenance, although I mean, our proposal was just keep it a walk down park with a couple of picnic tables or something like that, nothing more. But okay. Well, thanks, CJ. That's interesting. Anything else? Well, I want to thank all you diehards that are here. It seems like our numbers have dwindled this particular meeting, but
Thanks for doing this while you're traveling, Tom.
well, it's worked out okay. So
Appreciate it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. I
Okay.
guess we can adjourn the meeting if there's no more comments.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah.
you, CJ.
See you all soon.
Thanks very
Yep,
much.
I'll let you know about the courtroom tomorrow.
Okay, great.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Have a good evening, everybody.
Yeah, you
Bye.
too.
Okay.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.